So after I've been absolutely ruthlessly disrespected on my fire faves, we're now going to our Slayer names. All right, Kyle, you want to do this first one since you put it in?
We'll start with Power Balance. 2 red enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the 2 spells have the same mana value. I think this is a super fun card. You get to really throw a gambling aspect into it. Plus, whenever an opponent casts a spell, I may. So I don't have to do this every time. But if I'm trying to wheel my deck to that certain card that I need, and I could potentially play it for free, I would do it all the time.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even chose this. You don't usually play red, but here you are.
It's just a sick card. Like, I have a couple of decks that have red in it, but like, I don't play a thing where it's red dominant now. But I think this is an absolute slay. What about you?
Kyle's just been edging himself trying to make an Izzet deck, and I think it's getting closer.
I may or may not have bought the Outlaw pre-con deck.
Oh, did you really buy Stella?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it came in the other day before the cruise.
Yeah, no, Power Balance is a banger. I'm glad you chose this card. It was really good. 2 red mana for just this effect. With you, chances are you're probably going to run into some people that are going to be playing the same cards or same mana value cost as their top cards. Especially if you're running around with 2-3 mana cost spells in your deck. Very likely good chance that you're going to be flipping and casting your cards for free, especially if they're draw cards.
Absolutely. That's why I think it's an absolute slay.
Absolute slay.
What do we got next, Tom?
Ashling, Flame Dancer, 2 in red, Legendary Elemental Shaman. It comes out as a 4/4, has the text saying you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. We already know that's a good mechanic. On top of that, for Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. Looting's good. If this is the second time this ability has resolved, it deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. Holy crap, it's like an End of Festivities twice. And then if it does it a third time, for that third spell cast / copy, you get to add 4 red mana. This card is awesome. I love it. You get to have the Magecraft mechanic on here. You have draw, discard, looting. You don't lose unspent red mana. And you also have the ability to, 1, not only have a double End of Festivities effect, but 2, also ramp. Like, this is so good in so many red Storm decks. Urabrask, Bergie, they're excited about this.
Yeah. Everything you said.
Great input, Kyle.
Thank you.
Great input. Just like in my eyes.
I just, I don't have any specific cards I would put this in, but it's just an automatic put in for anything that you want to burn and just keep copying spells and keep just going off of those effects.
Just imagine playing one of the copy cards like what is it? I know there's one, Dual Strike. Dual Strike is one of them. So you play Dual Strike, and then you play a Jessica's Will.
I was thinking of Jessica's Will this whole time.
You play the Jessica's Will, you copy it, that's 2 of them right there, so you're resolving the first 2 parts of the ability, and then all you gotta do is cast, I don't know, throw in a Grape Shot. Now you're just copying a crap ton of stuff. Like, this card pops off. It pops off! So good. I love it. Storm decks are here.
Good card. What do we have next? Because you chose that one as well.
Oh, we got ourselves the Eldrazi Dragon. Heragast, Erupting Nullkite. Legendary creature, comes out as a 6/6. Has the emerge cost for 6 generic, 2 red. When you cast this spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. And then each creature spell you cast has emerge, and the emerge cost is equal to its mana cost. Emerge is a great thing. In red, there's a good chance that you will be willing to sacrifice your creature. And if one of those creatures just happens to be like 3 or 2 mana worth, you're going to reduce that emerge cost even further. And the ability to exile your hand, if you have no cards in your hand, you exile it, you're just going to be drawing 3 cards. So it comes out as a 6/6. It's flying. Each creature you control then has the emerge cost itself. So if you need to sacrifice other cards to, create this awesome deck, throw this in a Rakdos sacrifice deck. You're already going to be, making good use of that emerge cost. You're going to be drawing cards. It's good. I think it has great synergies. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Kyle?
I was just gonna chime in and say I would see this in Rakdos the Muscle.
Fits in a sacrifice synergistic deck that involves red, right? But you typically want to cast it and sacrifice another creature.
Where you at, Nessa? What are you doing? Daddy wants Oreos. Can crush some Oreos right now. But we're back to the slay or nay.
Hey.
Tamitha, we're on green. I'm gonna get right into it. Thanks for the support. Phenomenal. Fanatic of Ronas. 1 generic, 1 green. It's a snake druid. It comes in a 1/4 for power toughness. It's got tap, add 1 green. Then it's got ferocious, which you can tap it and add 4. Activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Then you have Eternalize. 2 generic, 2 green. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie snake druid with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. This is a great utility card because of the fact that it's a mana dork. It's got double mana dork if you got bigger creatures, so you're thinking Elysian Carotid.
Quadruple mana dork.
Exactly. It is just the green though, but to be able to get that jump and then the Eternalizes, you can just get it afterwards as well, and it comes back even stronger. This is a great card that's always, I think it should be in a lot of people's 99s. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great card. It's everything that you said. Mana dork that can get quadrupled for bigger creatures.
Wow, so it's like he has nothing to say on my cards too. So a big fat F you.
What else am I gonna say? It's just the fact that you throw this in a Gore Claw type deck.
No, it's
where you're looking at creatures power 4 greater or 5 greater, whatever. Throw Garrick's Uprising with this. There's a lot of different things that you could do. Green centric, yeah, this is slag.
Next up, we have 6, 2 generic, 1 green. It's a tree folk 2/4. It has reach. Whenever 6 attacks mill 3 cards, you may put a land card from among them into your hand. As long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace, which is you may cast permanent cards from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying their other costs. So just like, what was the other card that we were just talking about?
This is like Blossoming Tortoise, right?
Yeah, I was also going to say just like this would be great with Eladamri as well because of the fact of its abilities that it has.
Yeah.
And mesh well together.
It fits great with Eladamri. The cool thing about this, it's also a creature that's a 2/4 with reach, so you have a good blocker. So
I think it's a slay.
Yeah, I will give it a slay. The one thing that really does give it greatness is just the fact of that retrace. Retrace really makes it good.
Oh yeah. So that's gonna be all for the green because I put most of those in my fire faves. Next up we have blue. Tom, I know I chose this one, but I feel like you can read it too.
Amphibian Downpour. 2 generic.
What is it called? What's the card called? I couldn't hear you. You were cackling. Bleep.
Thank you, Kyle. Anyways, it's an enchantment aura. You guys heard what I said. Flash Storm, enchant creature. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a blue frog creature with base power 1 toughness. This is interesting. This is a storm on the enchantment aura. Cool thing about this is the fact that you can turn a lot of commanders into 1/1 baseless power without any abilities and without any or with a 1/1 base power.
Now put this in any storm deck. You don't need Pongify anymore. You don't need Imprisoned in the Moon. You could still have those for more control aspects, but you just play a couple of storm doubling cards. You play this, or you just play 1 storm doubling card, and you've taken out the entire board.
Honestly, what I would think
Year
is
Storm.
like if there's a in the commander
Oh no,
game.
that's only in those are only instants and sorceries.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is that if you have this in a commander game, you're gonna have people. They might play multiple spells on one person's turn, and you could be the last person to play this spell. And then before you know it, people might have already had at least casted 6 things beforehand. And then you get to actually play this at the end of the turn, and then boom, you're pretty much doing a board like lose all ability, become 1/1 creatures type thing.
Definitely getting a big target on your back.
Yeah.
All right, but that's a slay in my eyes. How about you?
Just like
Awesome. And then what do we got up next, Tom?
Harbinger of the Seas. One generic.
Harbinger?
Harbinger of the Seas. Yeah, true. One generic, 2 blue creature, Merfolk. Oh, jeez, wizard. Non-basic lands are islands. You have yourself the Blood Moon on blue now. Granted, it is a creature, so it's very destroyable. But I think it's aight. It could be really good. I don't know. Against multicolored decks, absolutely good. Against monocolored decks, not really good. The other big issue is protecting it. But you're in blue. I have mixed feelings about the card, to be honest.
I mean, but there's Path to Ancestry. There's you have plenty of utility, even if it is a monocolor, because any utility land. I'm just trying to think of you could do Dust Down, the destroy non-basic land. That's a specialty land. I can't remember the name of it, but it'll be above. It's a utility card, like you said, though. It does have the creature vulnerability.
Yeah, that's the only issue that I do have with the card. But overall, it's a stacks card, and it can actually prevent people from winning the game. So I'll give it a slay, but every now and then you might play it, and you're going to realize, this card's not doing shit.
So what you're saying is that this should go in my Oloro deck.
Conditioning, depending. If it goes in your Oloro deck, guess what? Your non-basic lands are islands now.
That's true. I'm still gonna give it a slay. It's a good blue stacks card.
I'll give it a slay. I think it's meant for mono blue. I don't really think it's supposed to be in anything else.
You could put this in your Emery deck.
I could. It also goes great with Merfolks.
Yeah, if you're doing tribal. But so we're giving it a slay. The last one on the blue that we have is Strix Serenade. It's a 1 blue mana instant. Counter target artifact, creature, or planeswalker spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. It is, oh my god, I can't believe that I can't remember the name right now. It's literally the one that's the opposite of it. It's enchantment. It's instant sorcery or enchantment is the other
Swan
one.
Song?
Thank you. It's just the opposite version of this. I think it's great to be thrown into this set and into the formats.
Yeah, it's a 1 mana counter creature, 1 mana counter artifact, 1 mana counter planeswalker. I think that's good.
Absolutely. So slay for me.
Like,
what do we have next up for black?
So for the Slay Day Black, we have Ripples of a Death. It's 1 black, 1 generic enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those into your hand. Decent. Has mill synergies. You have to pay the extra mana, which is what kills me about this, to put the card in the hand. But overall, it's decent. Is it a slay, though?
Costs 2 mana.
It costs 2 mana. Yeah, I'll give it a slay. Because I don't see any downside effects besides having to pay an extra mana for that extra card. But card value is great. Card draw, whatever, is great. Paying an extra mana, that's good. You get the mill too.
And if you have a reanimation deck, you're getting them in there faster. It's just another utility towards it.
Yeah.
So slay in my eyes.
Yeah, because if you do mill one of the reanimation cards, now you can bring it back to your hand.
Yep. Boom. Next up, we have Warren Soul Trader. It's 2 generic, 1 black. It's a zombie, goblin, wizard. Haven't seen too many of those in the recent sets. It's a 3/3. Its ability is pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token.
Yeah, this is good.
So, any treasure deck, and that's where I see this. I could potentially see this in my Rowan deck as well. Just in case, because I do make some tokens throughout it when I have not Necropotence, but Bitter Blossom, I believe. Bitter Blossom, which is the fairy creating one. Bitter Blossom, yeah. So that's what I would see this in, because I'm going to be able to ramp a little bit faster, get those X abilities up. So I say this is a Slay. I can't really not see it, though, in a non-treasure deck. I can see this in an aristocratic deck as well. What are your thoughts, Tom?
It's hands down a Slay. It's a 3-mana Pitiless Plunderer. But only difference is that you're paying 1 life. Or it's a 3-mana creature that's also a Phyrexian Altar. Yeah, it's so good in like decks that you want to create those infinite triggers of, sacrifice, right? And the fact that you're only paying 1 life, whatever. Have a Blood Artist and a Zulaport, that 1 life gets negated. This is good.
Yep, Slay it is. What do we have next, Tom?
Necro Dominance. 3 black mana. Legendary enchantment, skip your draw step. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay any amount of life and draw that many cards. Your maximum hand size is 5. If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So here is the thing. Get Necro Dominance out. Awesome. It's just like Necropotence. Only difference is that your maximum hand size is 5. I believe if you put a Reliquary Tower out, it negates it, because now you have 2 rules that are kind of combating each other. No. And I think you obviously want to go with the rule that's going to help you the most. And I don't know if we would have to ask the judge on that, but I'm pretty sure the Reliquary Tower stops or makes your hand size whatever amount anyways. So
I say Slay.
It's a Slay.
All right, that's going to be it for the black. We're going to go over to the white. I'm going to start with Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor. 1 generic, 2 white. It's a Fox Advisor. It's 3/4. It's got lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras. It's no longer just artifacts. And what affinity means is they cost 1 less to cast for each aura I control. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. So, this is another draw ability, draw creature, as well as now the affinity, so now your auras cost less. If you're
enchantments.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be auras.
No.
Enchantments cost less for each aura.
Yeah, so you need to have a couple of auras out there to then utilize for the enchantments. But yes, you are right.
Still less cost on the enchantments. Throw this in your Arna deck and then throw in the Anointed Procession. Now you're going to be copying those auras, making a crap ton of them, reducing the enchantment cost. You can have an Anointed Procession for 1 mana at that point.
Yeah, that's why I'm 100% putting this in any aura deck. That's why Arna is my commander. I was even saying it to you before. I don't think we were on camera. Like, all I have to do is just take out my Ariette the Charmed Apple and put in Ariette the Beguiler, put that in the 99, and then put Arna and a couple of blue spells in there, and I'm already done, considering I have the whole base done with Ariette.
Yeah, I mean, this card's good. It's reducing mana costs and you're drawing. And it helps out with all the, modified creature-esque decks that exist.
Yeah.
And it's also a great commander, too.
Slay.
It's a Slay.
What do we have next?
Metastatic Evangel. 1 white, 1 generic creature, Phyrexian Human Cleric. It's a 3/1. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. Yeah. That's good.
2 mana for...
Yeah, there's nothing else to it. It's just the fact that you get to, whenever a non-creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate.
Great utility card.
Yeah, there's so many different ways I could see this getting played. Throw this in the Blink deck. Blink counters.
I just imagine as well in
Blink Planeswalkers. Because you have the Eternal Wanderer, the 6 mana cost one. That one you're going to be blinking creatures in and out because it has that +1 ability to do so. Exile, bring it back to the battlefield at your end step. Yeah, that's good.
So absolute Slay.
Super Slay.
Alright, last one that we have on the white cards is Recruiter of the Guard. 2 generic, 1 white. It is a human soldier. It's a 1/1. When Recruiter of the Guard enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with toughness 2 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This is another tutor. I just think of, if I need Esper Sentinel, if I need, even if, like, let's say anything with power 2, with toughness of 2, you're getting that out there. I could see this as a utility card as well. But plain and simple, it's another tutor. Yes, it has the toughness of 2 or less, but you're going to be using this in that style of a deck where you can find easily a card to bring out. What do you think?
I was trying to do a quick search to see what type of cards would really fit with this.
Yeah,
One of the ones that stood out was a Dockside Extortionist. that's probably the number one thing that you would bring out right away with this card. That's broken. Dockside, Esper Sentinel,
Ragavan.
certain mana dorks like the Delighted Halving, if you know you're going against someone with counter synergies.
Yeah, throw this in a Bant deck. You easily have a lot of options to go after. Seeing it in Abzan, Boros, Naya, Mono White. There's a lot of utility here. So that's why it's an absolute slag, because it's pretty versatile in a lot of decks out there. Slay?
It's a slag.
All right.
What's next, Kyle?
We've got multicolor on the Slayer name portion. Psychic Frog is going to be our first one. It is Dimir. So 1 blue, 1 black. Frog creature, 1/2, power toughness. When it deals damage, combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Then, if you want to discard a card, you get to put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog. Then you can exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Psychic Frog gains flying until end of turn. So this creature has a lot of different opportunities being set for you for the board. Because if you exile 3 cards from your graveyard, you're giving it flying, so you're more than likely going to be able to deal damage, so you're drawing a card. Then if you want to discard a card, and maybe you have a discard synergy going on, this is going to be great for that, because all you have to do is just discard. That's why I think it's an absolute slay. It really works more so in a discard in my eyes, maybe in a +1/+1 as well. It's not really for that though. I think it's the brokenness of the discard ability. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, having the ability to discard a certain card that you want in your graveyard really can help you out with setting up your next play properly. And most likely it's for reanimation, right? If you turn to this, be able to throw a Consecrated Sphinx into the graveyard, and then that later turn, or maybe the next following turn, be able to play a Reanimate afterwards, you're doing the thing that you're trying to do, right? There's a lot of different ways I see this card being very useful. It's a good thing this card's not a legendary creature, because if it was a commander, it'd be a really good commander.
Oh yeah, it's cheap.
Cheap, draw, and it has the ability to at least, make it evasive, but also discarding it, putting +1/+1 counter synergies on it.
Yep, so absolute slag.
Give it a slag.
What do we got next, Tom?
The Necrobloom. It is Abzan and 1 generic legendary creature plant. It has landfall ability. Oh wow, landfall. That's actually interesting. With the landfall ability, you're going to, every time a land enters the battlefield, you're creating a 0/1 green plant creature token. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. Lands cards in your graveyard have Dredge 2. That's cool. I think that's really cool. A lot of good things that you can definitely throw. You could probably throw this in your Gave deck or Gave.
I like Gabe more. He sounds cooler.
Gave. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways.
So, what are you thinking with this? I think landfall deck, absolutely.
It has the landfall. It has
the mill as well.
And the other big thing is that you're creating 2/2 black zombies after you control 7 or more lands. I mean, you're running this mainly.
Oh my god, this is like a zombie Scute Swarm almost.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, this in itself is a great commander.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the next card that we're going to talk about, but Necrobloom is a slay.
Yeah, it's a slay.
But the next one we have up is White of the Reliquary. It is Golgari, so green-black, Zombie Knight, 2/2. It's got Vigilance. Light of the Reliquary, it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Then you have this tap ability, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So this card has so many utilities because whether you want to use it for mill and you have creature cards in the graveyard, you're going to start beefing it up even more. It's got Vigilance as well, so when you beef it up and you attack, you can still use it to defend. Then the sacrifice another creature, by tapping it, you're going to search your library and for a land card and put it on. This is going to be great in the 99-4 Necro Bloom. This is going to be a great engine for it because you can now guarantee that you're going to be putting a land down, thus creating more 0/1s. So it's going to create this infinite loop.
Sacrifice a 0/1, boom.
Absolutely, and then all we need is something to keep untapping this creature whenever we want.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Staff of Domination would probably be the obvious pick. Especially fits really well with any type of green decks. Staff of Domination for the untapped ability, because chances are you're going to have at least one of those things to be able to untap for whatever.
Ooh, or if I have... I literally just had the card name in my head. It was Seedborn Muse.
Yeah.
At the beginning of each end step, untap all permanents.
Yeah, Seedborn Muse. Silly.
That
would be silly.
Mm-hmm. But I think this would be fun in my Gave deck for sure as well.
Yeah, you can definitely throw it in the Gave deck. Help you with the ramping. It's such a good card.
Absolute slap. What do we got next?
We got Ral. He's back, baby. Monsoon. Oh, God. Monsoon Mage. Legendary creature. Human wizard for 1 red and 1 generic. It's comes out as a 1/3. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. That's awesome. And whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell during your turn, you're going to flip a coin. And if you lose the flip, Ral is going to deal 1 damage to you. But if you win the flip, oh my God, you can exile him and return him to the battlefield, transformed under his owner's control. And guess what? He comes in as a planeswalker. That's right, Ral the Leyland Prodigy. Basically, when it enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant sorcery spell you've casted this turn. So the more you end up casting and you lose that flip and then you win it, awesome. That's great. That's what you want. So comes out originally just with 2 loyalty counters, but since you're going to cast at least 1 instant, it's going to come out with 3 at least. With the +1 ability, it's going to still have that, instant sorcery spells casting 1 less. For the -2 ability, it's going to deal 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. And then for the -8 ability, you're going to exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana costs. Cool. A lot of cool things about this. What I really like is the fact that it's only 2 mana. You're reducing your instants and sorcery spell cost by a lot. And then if you can, let's say turn 2, you play this. Turn 3, you play an instant sorcery that wins the flip. And then boom, you have Ral Prodigy. Turn 3, you're going to be able to at least -2, deal that 2 damage however you want. And you're going to be able to draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. I think that's a lot of value right there. Also, just the fact that you're reducing your mana cost is a lot of value. And if you get that sweet -8 ability, ooh, that's some serious stuff right there. It'd be really fun in an Izzet deck that's based around Storm. But yeah, that's for me, it's a slag. I don't know how you feel about it, Kyle.
It's any Storm deck. I mean, you could throw the other Ral, Storm Conduit, you can throw Grape Shot, Seething Song, all the other cards that you need to keep ramping up and keep compounding the amount of spells that you're doing. 1,000-Year Storm is another one that comes to mind immediately. So, as long as you're using these cards.
Yeah, for me, it's like you want to run this with a Mizzix Mastery. You want to run this with Arcane Bombardment, because what they do is they exile and then exile the cards, and then you have to cast it. Also run this with Underworld Breach, because you want to have cast effects, not copy effects, because it goes based off of that. So if you play like Mizzix Mastery while Ral's on the battlefield, you miss the flips on like the first few spells, and then you get the last spell to actually hit. That thing's going to come out much closer to that ultimate ability. And so it's a lot of different, utility that comes out of this. 2 mana. It's a slay to me.
Slay.
All right. What's next, Kyle?
Nadu, Winged Wisdom. It's a bird wizard. It's 3/4 to power toughness, 1 generic and simic. It's got flying. Creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability only triggers twice each turn. Oh my god. I just have to point out, first of all, that it says put it onto the battlefield, the land card. So all these lands that you have, that 2, 3 colors, you don't have to put them tapped anymore. Like with a lot of the other conditions on Cultivate, a lot of other ones. I mean, Nature Lore, if you really need me to go down it, let's not try and just test that because I don't feel like doing 10 of them. But you get to reveal cards, so now you get to kind of look at the top card of your library. And this gets to happen twice each turn. I like the little bit of a limiter, but the cards that I'm immediately thinking of is Landfall deck. You're putting in Seeker of the Skybreak, you're putting a Feto Alchemist, putting in Skewed Swarm. You want to be able to keep tapping it and untapping.
This, to me, it's like you wanna really abuse the ability where it's creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability.
And that includes powering up your creatures.
Yeah, so like the first thing that you think of is that Bristly Bill.
Yeah.
Because land enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on counter or target creature. That +1/+1 getting put on something is going to trigger Nadu. Nadu triggers if you hit that land, you get to do it all over again. And so you keep going until it stops. That's disgusting. I wonder
why you chose this.
There's so many different other things that you can target with it, right? Protection spells, Tamiyo, going into like Tyvar Stand, having even like what is it? Like artifacts and their abilities with the equipment targeting it is going to trigger it. There's a lot of different things you can do. Exile effects, right? Displacer Kitten, having multiple times where you can have that effect pop off, and then be able to throw in a Tireless Provisioner as well in there to keep that ramp going. Another cool thing that you could do is having copy cards. The copy cards are going to target that ability or target, Nadu. Now you copy it, and then all of a sudden you're going to be doubling the reveal effects. So there's also one more that I'm thinking of. It's one of the Orvar, the all form changing or whatever. And then Orvar and Vesivan Displacement, I think it's called. Basically the ones where it's like target creature, copy creature. Yeah.
Vesuvan Diplomacy.
Yes, Vesuvan Diplomacy. Target creature, copy creature. Copy the creature. Yeah, that's right. Except it's not legendary. This card can be broken.
I like it. Slay.
It's a slay.
What do we got for the next one?
Flage. I think that's how you pronounce it. Titan of Fire's Fury. It's Boros, 1 generic legendary creature, Elder Giant, 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped. Whenever Flage enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. What I like about this is that it's in Boros. So it's basically like Croxa, Euro, Titan, but one thing that those cards are missing is the white color. Why is that important? Because if you throw in a strict Proctor Mage in here, where now it removes all the enter the battlefield effects unless you pay 2, you're not going to pay the 2 because guess what? You don't want to sacrifice it. So when it enters the battlefield, it removes that ability effect so it can stay in, and now you can just have a 3 mana 6/6 onto the battlefield. Turn 1, let's say you play Esper Sentinel. Turn 2, play Strict Proctor Mage. Turn 3, you play this. You have a 6/6 on the battlefield that's going to do a lot of damage.
Burning is fun. Burning is fun.
Gaining life's fun too.
Slay it is then.
I give it a slay.
Alright, you chose this land, so.
Uggin's Labyrinth has the imprint. When Uggin's Labyrinth enters the battlefield, you may exile a color this card. Mana value 7 or greater from your hand. Add a generic if a card is exiled with Uggin's Labyrinth. Add 2 generic instead, and then you can tap it, return the exiled card to the owner's hand. Yeah, it's good. Throw in the Eldrazi deck. Throw in any expensive, like what do you call it? Those greater mana five or greater decks. Chances are you're gonna have a lot of 7 mana greater cards in there. Eldrazi's, yeah, it's good.
Slay. All right, next up we have the colorless section. All right, we're on to the colorless portion of Slay or Nay. We're going to start out with Kozilek, the Broken Reality. It's 9 generic legendary Eldrazi creature, 9/9. When you cast this spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. And to manifest a card, put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Then other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. So when you play this, you're drawing 2 cards immediately, and then you get to take control of their creature cards. Great utility, Eldrazi. That's all I can really think of around it. What do you think about it, Mr. Thomas?
I'm researching.
Got it. Beep, beep.
So you're drawing 4 cards off the bat by casting this. You're putting 2 cards onto the battlefield that are in your 2 target players' hands.
Oh, so you're drawing 4. Got it.
Because chances are you're going to be playing this in the later turns. So turn 5, turn 6 at the earliest. But when you do get this out, you get to draw 4. Chances are your opponents are going to have 2 or 3 cards left in their hand, and if they have to manifest those cards, those could be pretty important cards for the next following turns, and so they need those creatures to actually die when they become 2/2 morphs. And with them becoming 2/2 morphs, those could be some winning cards that are now on the battlefield that are just now basic 2/2 creatures. So a lot of synergy in that. And then the other colorless creatures that you control get +3/+2. I think this card's a little bit underwhelming, but the thing is with colorless is that you can typically ramp up to that amount of mana and get away with it. And typically you're going to be playing a lot of other colorless creatures, a lot of other colorless Eldrazi's. I'll give it a slay. I just don't know how well it will hold up, because I think the other Kozilek's way better than this one, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a nay.
I might just give it a nay too. I think it's underwhelming.
All right, nay it is. What's next?
Emrakul, The World Anew. 12 generic mana, legendary creature, Eldrazi. When you cast a spell, gain control of all other creatures target player controls. Yeah, that first sentence already beats the Kozilek, in my opinion. Find protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn, so that's awesome.
Can't counter it.
You get to at least you can counter it because it has to be on the battlefield for that effect to work. And then when Emrakul, The World Anew, leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all 6 creatures, or sacrifice all creatures you control. Also has the madness, pay 6 generic. What the hell?
Nah, it's a 12/12 on top of it.
You can discard this card, play this for 6 mana. Or yeah. What? This is way different than Kozilek. This is huge. This card's broken.
This card is an absolute slay.
You gain control of target players' creatures. All of them.
Somebody's been building up their board state for a while. You get to take them all and you can attack if they don't have summoning sickness. Boom.
Dog, you can play this on turn 4.
Yeah, this is an absolute slay. Alright, next one we've got Ulamog the Defiler. 10 generic mana, it's a 7/7 Eldrazi. When you cast the spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. Already better than the Kozilek as well, because you're getting rid of it. It has Ward, which is sacrifice 2 permanents. Not just creatures or enchantments, it can be lands as well. And Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. Oh my goodness. So you're taking out an Omniscience. You're taking out a Galta.
Yep.
Like, you're getting an insane amount of +1/+1 counters on it.
Yep.
And then on top of that, Ulamog has Annihilator X, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. Oh. So let's say it's a Vorinclex, 6 mana. Now this gets +6/+6, and then when he attacks, you now have to sacrifice 6 permanents because of its Annihilator. That is filthy.
Yeah.
Filthy. What do you think?
Yeah, I see this card being really good in the 99, and specifically the 99 I would consider it contains what do you call it? It contains green in that 99 in a sense. +1/+1 counter synergies are huge. And yeah, exactly what you said. Vorinclex with this, disgusting. And then if you're able to give it trample haste, even better.
Absolute slay.
Yep, it's slay.
Last one that we have for the colorless is going to be Null Drifter, 7 generic. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. It's got flying and Annihilator 1. It's a 4/4. We don't even really care about any of that. We just want it for its evoke cost, which is 2 generic and 1 blue. Basically just turned Mull Drifter into an Eldrazi Elemental. Absolute slay. Pay 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Easy peasy. So slay in my eyes. Tom?
Yeah, throw this in your Yarok deck.
Absolutely. So that's going to be the last of our Slayer Nays for colors and colorless. We're just going to kind of go over the next little piece. Stay tuned.